I rented the cabin with 3 friends for a weekend getaway. Me, Ruby, Dale, and Garrett. 4 people total. But this morning when I woke up, there were 5 of us at the breakfast table. The 5th person was a man I'd never seen before, mid-30s, wearing a faded grandfather mountain hoodie and trail pants, eating a bowl of Cheerios like he belonged there. When I asked who he was, everyone looked at me with this confused expression that made my stomach drop. Ruby set down her coffee mug. "That's Wayne. He's been with us since college. Are you feeling okay, Jamie?" I don't know anyone named Wayne. I've never seen this man before in my life, but everyone else treated him like family, sharing inside jokes I didn't remember, laughing about camping trips I wasn't on. Dale mentioned something about that time at Linville Falls when Wayne almost fell in, and Garrett nodded like it was common knowledge. They were trading stories about someone who didn't exist 12 hours ago. I pulled up the photos from yesterday on my phone. The 4 of us arriving at the cabin off Highway 321, unpacking our bags on the wraparound porch, making spaghetti dinner. But when I looked at them now, Wayne was in every single photo. Standing next to me in shots I remembered taking as selfies, sitting at the table in the background of a picture I took of the view toward Grandmother Mountain. His face was there in the group shot we took in front of the rental's wooden sign that said, Whisperwood Haven. And in one photo, the one I took of everyone laughing over dinner, I caught something that made my hands start shaking. I was looking at Wayne in that picture, and he was looking directly at the camera with an expression of pure terror. His mouth hung open like he was screaming, even though everyone else in the frame was smiling. His eyes were wrong, wet, pleading. I looked up from my phone. Wayne was staring at me from across the table. His cereal spoon was halfway to his mouth, frozen there. Our eyes met, and for just a second, that same terrified expression flickered across his face. Then he mouthed 4 words, "Count again. Count everyone." So I did. Me, Ruby, Dale, Garrett, Wayne, 5 people. But when I scrolled through my emails to find the AIRBNB reservation confirmation, I found something that made my throat tighten. The booking I'd made last month clearly stated, party of 6. 6 people, not 5, not 4. I looked back at the breakfast table. There was an empty chair at the head, a chair no one was sitting in, a chair with a plate in front of it, scrambled eggs getting cold, toast untouched, a fork laid carefully beside it. "Who's that for?" I asked, pointing. Everyone turned to look at the empty chair, then back at me. "What do you mean?" Ruby asked. "That's your seat, Jamie." "You were sitting there a minute ago." But I wasn't. I've been standing in the doorway this entire time. Haven't I? I pulled the chair out. The one they said was mine. The seat was warm. "I need some air," I said, my voice coming out strange and tight. Ruby reached for my arm, but I was already moving toward the back door, past the stone fireplace with its mounted deer head, past the kitchen counters still cluttered with last night's wine bottles. The cabin smelled like pine cleaner and old wood smoke. My hiking boots were by the door where I'd left them, laces still double-knotted the way I always tie them. Outside, the morning fog clung to the valley below. We were high up, the cabin perched on a ridge with a view of nothing but mountains and forest. The nearest house was 3 miles down a gravel road. No cell service up here, just the AIRBNB's Wi-Fi. I walked to the porch railing and gripped it hard enough that splinters bit into my palms. Behind me, I heard the screen door creak open. "You've been acting weird since last night." It was Dale. He came to stand beside me, holding 2 mugs of coffee. He offered me one. Ruby's worried. "We all are." "Do you really remember Wayne?" I asked. Dale took a sip from his mug. "What kind of question is that?" Just answer it. Do you remember him from college? Of course I do. He was in our dorm freshman year, room 314, right across from you and me. He was the one who introduced us to Ruby at that party sophomore year. The Halloween one where Garrett showed up dressed as a tree. Dale laughed at the memory. Come on, man, what's going on with you? I didn't remember any of that. Room 314 had been empty our whole freshman year. I remembered complaining about it, how we never got the fourth roommate the housing office promised. What's Wayne's last name? I asked. Dale paused. His coffee mug hovered near his lips. It's Wayne. He trailed off, his expression clouding over. That's weird. I can't remember, but I know it. It's right there. Where does he work? Another pause. Longer this time. He works. He's in. Dale set his mug down on the railing. This is messed up. Why can't I remember? The screen door opened again. Wayne stepped out onto the porch. He was holding a laminated sheet of paper, the kind you'd find in a rental kitchen with instructions for the dishwasher or garbage disposal. His hands were shaking. You need to read this, Wayne said, looking directly at me. Right now. Dale reached for it, but Wayne pulled it back. No, just Jamie. The header at the top said, Whisperwood Haven, House Rules. Below it, 6 rules were typed in courier font. 1. Count your party each morning at breakfast. If the number changes, do not acknowledge it aloud. 2. The chair at the head of the table must always have a place setting. Never remove it. Never sit in it. 3. If someone in your party has no last name in your memory, do not ask them for it. 4. Check your photos once per day, at sunset. If you see yourself in a photo you didn't pose for, leave the cabin immediately. 5. The woodshed behind the cabin is off limits after 8 p.m. If you hear hammering from inside it, go to your room and close the door. 6. On your final morning, count everyone one last time before you leave. If the number is correct, you may go. If not, someone must stay behind. My mouth went dry. Where did you find this? It was tucked inside the welcome binder, Wayne said. On the coffee table. It's been there the whole time. Why didn't we see it yesterday? I don't know. Wayne's voice cracked. But I remember things you don't remember. I remember being in college with you, Dale, all of you. I remember my childhood, my parents, my apartment in Asheville. But when I try to think about work, or my last name, or what I was doing last week before this trip, he pressed his palms against his temples. There's nothing there. It's like static. Dale had gone pale. He picked up the laminated sheet with careful fingers, reading it over. This is some kind of joke, right? The host is messing with us. But his voice had lost its certainty. I read Rule 1 again. If the number changes, do not acknowledge it aloud. Yesterday we were 4. Today we were 5. And the reservation said 6. We need to wake up Ruby and Garrett, I said. Right now. Wayne grabbed my shoulder before I could move. His grip was strong, almost painful. Read Rule 3 first. Really read it. If someone in your party has no last name in your memory, do not ask them for it. I looked at Wayne. At this man I didn't recognize, who everyone else swore they'd known for years. This man who couldn't remember his own last name. What happens if we ask? I said. I don't want to find out, Wayne whispered. From inside the cabin, we heard Ruby scream. We ran inside. Ruby stood in the living room, phone clutched in her hand, staring at the screen with wide eyes. Garrett was behind her, still in his sleep clothes, looking equally stunned. "What's wrong?" Dale moved to her side. She turned the phone toward us. "I was scrolling through Facebook this morning. Through my photos. And look. Just look at this." The screen showed her profile. Her cover photo was from last summer, a group shot of the 5 of us on a beach somewhere. Except I remembered that trip. It had been 4 of us. Me, Ruby, Dale, and Garrett. We'd gone to Myrtle Beach for a long weekend. In the photo now, Wayne stood between Ruby and me, his arm around my shoulders, grinning at the camera. "That's not the weird part," Ruby said, her voice thin. "Watch what happens when I try to delete it." She tapped the options menu. Selected delete. A confirmation box appeared. "Are you sure you want to delete this photo?" She hit yes. The screen flickered. Then the photo was back. Unchanged. Wayne still there, smiling his ordinary smile. "I've tried 15 times, Ruby said. "It won't delete." "None of them will. And there are hundreds of photos with him in them. Years worth. Birthday parties, graduations, road trips. He's in all of them." Garrett sat down heavily on the couch. "Okay. This is seriously messed up now." I handed him the laminated rules sheet. "Read this. All of it." While Garrett read, I watched Wayne. He'd moved to the window, staring out at the forest. His reflection in the glass looked wrong somehow, too faint, like he wasn't fully there. "This can't be real," Garrett said when he finished. "This has to be some elaborate prank. Maybe there's hidden cameras or something. One of those YouTube things." "Then explain the photos," Ruby said. "Explain why I have memories of Wayne that don't make sense. I remember him being at my sister's wedding last year. I was maid of honor. I can picture him sitting at our table. But when I try to remember talking to him that night, or what he said, or who he brought as a date..." She pressed her hands over her face. "There's nothing. Just this vague sense that he was there." Dale was rereading the rules, his lips moving silently. "It says we need to count everyone each morning. We did that. We're 5 now." "The reservation says 6, I reminded him. "So, someone else is coming?" Garrett asked. Wayne finally turned from the window. "Or someone's already here. Someone we can't see yet." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. I looked at the breakfast table through the doorway. The empty chair. The place setting with cold eggs and untouched toast. "Rule 2, I said. "The chair at the head of the table must always have a place setting. Never sit in it." "Why?" Ruby asked. "What happens if someone sits there?" None of us have an answer. Dale checked his watch. It's 8:47 in the morning. We have the whole day ahead of us. We could just leave. Pack up right now and get out of here. "And go where?" Wayne said. "Back to our lives." "I don't have a life to go back to. I don't exist outside this cabin. I'm not in any records. I don't have a job. I checked my wallet this morning. I have a driver's license with no last name. Just Wayne. No address. The photo is me, but the license was issued yesterday according to the date. Yesterday." He pulled out his wallet and showed us. The North Carolina license looked official. Holographic seal, proper formatting. But the name field just said Wayne with no surname. Issue date, yesterday's date. Expiration, tomorrow. "How is that possible?" Garrett whispered. Wayne's hands were shaking again as he put the wallet away. "I don't think I'm real. I think I'm something this place made. And you all..." He looked at each of us. "You've been rewritten to believe I've always existed." Ruby started crying quietly. Dale put his arm around her, but he looked just as scared. I picked up the rules sheet again. Rule 4 says to check our photos once per day at sunset. If we see ourselves in photos we didn't pose for, we should leave immediately. It's not sunset yet, Garrett pointed out. We have hours. What about Rule 5? Ruby asked, wiping her eyes. The woodshed. We're not supposed to go there after 8 p.m. Has anyone even looked at it? I hadn't noticed a woodshed yesterday when we arrived, but then again, I hadn't noticed a 6th rule sheet either. Let's check it out now, Dale suggested. While it's still morning, maybe there's something out there that explains this. Wayne shook his head. Bad idea. The rules exist for a reason. The rule says we can't go after 8 p.m., Garrett countered. It's morning. We should be fine. Against my better judgment, I found myself agreeing. We needed answers, and sitting in the cabin wasn't giving us any. The 5 of us went outside. The fog had started to lift, revealing more of the valley below. I could see the gravel road snaking down through the trees, disappearing around a bend about half a mile down. Our rental car, a blue Subaru Outback, sat in the small parking area, covered in morning dew. Behind the cabin, past a line of rhododendron bushes, we found the woodshed. It was larger than expected, maybe 20 feet by 15, built from the same weathered planks as the cabin. A simple wooden door with a sliding bolt lock, currently unlatched. No windows. Should we knock? Ruby asked. The question struck me as absurd and perfectly reasonable at the same time. Dale reached for the door handle. His fingers brushed the wood. From inside, we heard 3 sharp knocks, then 3 more, then 3 more, faster this time, urgent. Someone was inside the woodshed, knocking back. Dale yanked his hand away. We all stepped back, our breathing suddenly loud in the quiet morning. The knocking stopped. For a long moment, nothing. Just the sound of wind through the pines and the distant call of a crow. Then a voice from inside the shed, muffled but clear enough to understand. Don't open it. Please, don't let me out. The voice was mine. I was hearing my own voice coming from inside the locked woodshed, begging us not to open the door. Garrett grabbed my arm. We need to go back inside, right now. But I couldn't move. I stood there, staring at that weathered wooden door, listening to my own voice pleading from the other side. I'm not supposed to be out yet. It's not time. If you open this door, everything starts over. Count again. Count everyone. Please just count again and go back inside. Wayne pulled at my shoulder. Come on, we're leaving. Now. We ran back to the cabin. Inside, Dale locked the back door. We all stood in the kitchen, breathing hard, trying to process what we'd just heard. That was Jamie's voice, Ruby said, stating the obvious. That was definitely your voice. I nodded, my throat too tight to speak. Garrett walked to the breakfast table. He stopped. His face went white. Guys, he said, count how many of us are here right now. I looked around the kitchen. Me, Ruby, Dale, Garrett, Wayne. 5 people. Now count the chairs at the table, Garrett said. I turned to look. There were 7 chairs around the breakfast table. 2 of them had place settings in front of them, plates full of food that hadn't been there before. Both plates held the same thing: scrambled eggs, toast, and a small card propped against each glass of orange juice. I picked up the nearest card. In handwritten script, it said, "Welcome home, Jamie." The other card, I somehow knew without checking, had someone else's name on it. A name I would recognize. If you like the stories, Please hype the videos from a button like this just above the comment section. It helps the videos to get more reach and perform well. It would take just a few seconds and cost nothing, but would help the channel grow even faster. Thank you. Ruby picked up the second card before I could stop her. Her face went slack. The card slipped from her fingers and fluttered to the floor. "That's my brother's name," she whispered. "Caleb. He died 3 years ago. Hiking accident near Rome Mountain." The kitchen felt smaller suddenly, the walls pressing in. I bent down to pick up the card. The handwriting was identical to mine, the same card that had welcomed me home. "Welcome home, Caleb." "He's not here," Dale said quickly, his voice rising. "There's 5 of us. Just 5. We're not counting anyone else. We can't." But even as he said it, I was looking at the 7 chairs. 5 of us standing in the kitchen. 2 empty chairs. 2 place settings with food. Wayne moved to the coffee table and grabbed the welcome binder, a thick black folder with the cabin's information. He flipped through pages of restaurant recommendations and hiking trail maps until he found a laminated insert near the back. "There's more," he said, holding it up. "Additional rules. These weren't on the first sheet." I took it from him. The header read, "For extended stays, supplementary guidelines. If you discover you are the only one who doesn't remember someone, you are the newest addition. The mountain is still deciding if you're real. Do not speak about anyone who isn't currently in the room with you. The cabin listens. Mirrors show the truth. If you look in one and see fewer people than are standing beside you, close your eyes and count to 10. The person sitting in the empty chair can see you. Do not make eye contact with empty spaces. If food appears on a place setting that was empty, someone new is arriving within the hour." "Within the hour," Garrett repeated, checking his phone. "Those plates just appeared. That means..." A knock at the front door cut him off. 3 sharp raps, evenly spaced. None of us moved. The fog outside had thickened again, pressing against the windows like something alive. Through the front window, I couldn't see anyone on the porch. The knock came again, same rhythm. 3 beats. Dale started toward the door, but Wayne grabbed his arm. "Don't." "We don't know what's out there." "What if it's the host?" Dale said. "What if they can explain this? Or what if it's whoever those plates are for?" Ruby's voice came out ragged. The knocking continued. Patient. Persistent. 3 raps, then silence. 3 raps, then silence. I walked to the window beside the door, careful to stay out of sight. The porch was empty. No car in the driveway except our Subaru. No footprints in the dew-wet boards. But the doorknob was turning. "It's locked, right?" Garrett asked. "We locked it after we came back in." I watched the brass knob rotate slowly, testing. The deadbolt held. After a moment, the knocking stopped. The knob went still. We waited, barely breathing. Then footsteps, slow, heavy, crossed the porch. Not walking away. Walking around the cabin toward the back door. "The kitchen door," Ruby said, her eyes going wide. "Did we..." Dale sprinted for the back of the cabin. We heard him slam the door, the lock clicking into place just as something on the other side pushed against it. Once, twice, then stopped. Dale came back, his face flushed. Whatever that was, it's strong. I felt it testing the door. "Felt what?" I asked. "Did you see anything?" "No. The fog's too thick back there. But I heard breathing. Really heavy breathing, like someone who'd been running." Wayne had gone very still, staring at the breakfast table. "Count the chairs again." I turned. 8 chairs now. 3 of them had place settings. The newest plate held something different. Not eggs and toast. A small wooden carving of a bird. A crow, maybe. And beneath it, another card. None of us wanted to touch it. "We need to check the mirrors," I said, remembering the supplementary rules. "Right now." The bathroom was down the hall, past 2 small bedrooms. We crowded into the doorway, looking at our reflections in the mirror above the sink. 5 people. Me, Ruby, Dale, Garrett, Wayne. But the mirror showed 3. Just me, Ruby, and Dale stared back from the glass. Garrett and Wayne had no reflections. Garrett saw it the same moment I did. He lifted his hand, waved it in front of the mirror. Nothing. No reflection. His face went gray. Oh God, I'm not real either. I'm like Wayne. Stop talking, Ruby said sharply. Close your eyes. Count to 10. That's what the rule says. We closed our eyes. I counted silently, my pulse hammering in my ears. 1, 2, 3. The bathroom smelled like mildew and pine. 4, 5, 6. Behind my eyelids, I saw patterns, fractals of light that made no sense. 7, 8, 9, 10. I opened my eyes. The mirror now showed 5 people, all of us, including Garrett and Wayne. But there was a 6th figure, standing behind us in the reflection. A man I didn't recognize, wearing old-fashioned hiking clothes, wool trousers, a canvas jacket. His face was weathered, his eyes dark and hollow. In the reflection, he was reaching out toward Ruby's shoulder. I spun around. The bathroom was empty behind us. Just the 5 of us crowded in the doorway. "Did you see?" I started. "Don't talk about anyone who isn't in the room," Wayne interrupted, his voice tight. "The cabin listens. That's Rule 7. We backed out of the bathroom. The hallway felt longer than before, the walls seeming to stretch. I counted my steps back to the living room. 12. I'd counted 8 on the way in. In the living room, I stopped. There was someone sitting in one of the empty chairs at the breakfast table. A young man, early 20s, with Ruby's same auburn hair and sharp cheekbones. He sat very still, staring at the plate in front of him. At the card with his name. Caleb. Ruby made a small, broken sound. "That's not possible. He's dead." I went to his funeral. I spoke at his funeral. But Caleb sat there, solid and real, wearing the same green pullover he'd worn in his college photos. He didn't look at us. His eyes were fixed on something across the room, the empty chair at the head of the table. "Don't make eye contact with empty spaces," Garrett whispered. That's what the rules said. I followed Caleb's gaze. The chair at the head of the table was still empty. No plate setting now. But as I watched, the seat cushion compressed, like someone had just sat down. The whole cabin creaked. Not from wind, from weight, from something settling into that chair. Caleb spoke without looking at us, his voice flat and distant. "You need to count again. There are too many. The mountain only needs 6. "6 what?" Dale asked. 6 to stay. 6 to remember. 6 to become part of the valley. Caleb finally turned his head. His eyes were wrong, too dark, like looking into wells. The rest go back to being nothing. Back to being possibilities that never happened. Ruby stepped forward. "Caleb, it's me. It's your sister. I don't understand what's happening." "You're not my sister," Caleb said. "My sister died on Roan Mountain 3 years ago. I watched her fall. I watched her break on the rocks, but I couldn't save her because I was already dead. I'd fallen first, remember? Ruby, you have to remember. Ruby shook her head, tears streaming down her face. No, that's not right. You fell. You died. I got the call from the park rangers. I dash. Check your phone, Caleb said. Look at your emergency contacts. Who's listed as your next of kin? With shaking hands, Ruby pulled out her phone. She scrolled through her contacts, then her face crumpled. It says Caleb Morrison, emergency contact. That's my last name. But the number... She looked up at us, devastated. The number is mine. I'm listed as my own brother's emergency contact, but the name is backwards. Dale grabbed the phone from her. His expression shifted from confusion to horror. Ruby, what's your last name? Morrison. Ruby Morrison. And Caleb's last name? Morrison. We're siblings. Of course we have the same. She stopped. Her face went blank. I don't remember. I can't remember my last name. I know it's Morrison. But when I try to think about why, or about my parents, or about growing up with Caleb... She pressed her palms against her temples. There's nothing there. Just static. Wayne walked over to Caleb and stood in front of him. They looked at each other for a long moment. How long have you been here? Wayne asked. 3 days, Caleb said. Or 3 years. Time works differently in the cabin. When I first arrived, there were 4 people at breakfast. By lunch, I was the 5th. By dinner, everyone remembered me from childhood. By the next morning, I couldn't remember how I got here. And the person in the empty chair? That's the mountain, Caleb said. That's what decides. It sits there every meal, watching, choosing who stays and who fades. From outside, through the thickening fog, I heard something strange. My own voice calling from the woodshed. Let me out. It's been 3 years. Please, I'm so cold. Just let me out, and I'll explain everything, I promise. Jamie, please. But I was standing right here, wasn't I? I looked down at my hands. They seemed slightly transparent in the dim light, like old photographs fading with age. Count again, Caleb said softly. Count everyone at the table. Count carefully this time. I looked around the room. Me, Ruby, Dale, Garrett Wayne, Caleb. 6 people. The reservation had been for 6. No, Dale said, backing away from the table. This is wrong. We came here with 4 people. 4. Me, Jamie, Ruby, and Garrett. That's it. That's the truth. Is it? Caleb tilted his head. Look at your phone. Check your text messages. See how many people are in your group chat. Dale pulled out his phone with jerky movements. His face went slack as he scrolled. There are 6 of us in the group chat. 6 numbers. And we've been texting all week about this trip. Planning what to bring, who's driving, what time to meet. He looked up, his eyes wet. I remember writing these texts. But I don't remember writing to Wayne. Or to you, Caleb. But here they are. Timestamps. Everything. Wayne sat down heavily in one of the chairs. Not the empty one at the head. None of us would touch that. He put his head in his hands. I need to show you something, Wayne said. I found it this morning before anyone woke up. He pulled a folded piece of paper from his pocket. The creases were worn, like it had been opened and closed many times. He smoothed it out on the table. It was a missing person flyer. The photo showed Wayne. Same face, same build, but the clothes were different. Older. The text beneath read, Wayne Sullivan, missing since October 2022. Last seen on the Appalachian Trail near Blowing Rock. If you have any information, please contact Watauga County Sheriff's Department." "That's 3 years ago," Ruby whispered. "I know," Wayne said. "I found this in the welcome binder, tucked behind the trail maps. And there's more." He pulled out 4 more flyers. Each one showed a different missing person. Each one last seen somewhere in the Appalachian Mountains. Each one from a different year, going back over a decade. One of them showed the weathered man I had seen in the bathroom mirror. His name was Thomas Prather, missing since 2015. "The cabin collects people," Caleb said quietly. "Missing hikers, lost travelers, people who went into the mountains and never came back. It pulls us out of the spaces between existing and not existing, gives us memories, gives us histories, makes us real enough to remember, but not real enough to leave." "Why?" Garrett asked. His voice came out small and scared. "What's the point?" "The mountain is lonely," Caleb said. "It's been here for millions of years, watching things live and die. Seasons change, civilizations rise and fall. Somewhere along the way, it learned to want, to need company, so it keeps us, 6 at a time. When one of us finally fades completely, becomes nothing, it reaches out and pulls in a replacement." I looked at my hands again, more transparent than before. I could see the wood grain of the table through my palms. "That's what's happening to me," I said. "I'm fading." "No." Ruby grabbed my arm. Her fingers passed through it slightly before finding purchase. "No, Jamie. You're real. You're my friend. We've known each other since college. You were there when I got my acceptance to graduate school. You helped me move into my apartment. You're real." "Am I?" I pulled my arm back. "Or are those just memories the cabin gave you? How do you know what's true anymore?" Ruby opened her mouth to answer, but nothing came out. Dale walked to the window. Outside, the fog had grown so thick that the forest was barely visible. "We need to try to leave. Just get in the car and drive down the mountain. Maybe once we're away from here, everything goes back to normal." "It won't work," Caleb said. "I've tried. We've all tried. The road loops back. You drive for an hour and you're right back at the cabin. Or you get to the bottom of the mountain and realize you forgot something essential. Your wallet, your keys. And you have to come back. The mountain doesn't let go easily." Garrett checked his watch. "It's almost noon. Sunset isn't for hours. That's when we're supposed to check our photos again." "What do you think we'll see?" Ruby asked. "The truth," Wayne said. "Whoever's really here and whoever's not." A thought occurred to me. The woodshed. There's someone in there using my voice. What if that's the real me? What if I'm the copy? The room went quiet. "Don't think like that," Dale said, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. I stood up. The movement felt strange, like I was lighter than I should be. "I need to know. We need to open that shed and see what's inside." "Rule 5 says the woodshed is off limits after 8 p.m., Garrett reminded me. "It's noon. Technically, we could go look." "Bad idea," Caleb said. "The rules exist for reasons. They're the only things keeping this place from taking you completely." "I'm already disappearing," I said, holding up my fading hands. "What's left to take?" Wayne stood. "I'll come with you. If there are 2 of you, maybe we can figure out which one is real." Ruby shook her head. "We should stay together. All of us." But I was already moving toward the back door. Wayne followed. After a moment's hesitation, so did everyone else. Outside, the fog wrapped around us like wet gauze. The temperature had dropped since morning. I could see my breath, and Wayne's, and Dale's, but not my own. My breath left no visible trace in the cold air. We approached the woodshed. The door was still closed, the bolt still unlocked. From inside, silence. "Hello?" I called out. "Is anyone in there?" No response. Wayne reached for the door handle. His fingers brushed the wood. The knocking started again. 3 sharp raps, then 3 more. Faster now, frantic. And then my voice, muffled but clear. "Don't open it. I'm warning you. I'm not ready. It's not time yet. The mountain hasn't decided." "Decided what?" I yelled at the door. "Which one of us gets to be real?" my voice answered. "Which one stays, and which one goes back to being nothing? If you open this door before sunset, we'll both fade. We'll both become possibilities that never happened." Dale stepped forward. "If Jamie's in there, and Jamie's out here, then which one is real?" A long pause. Then, "Does it matter? We're both equally fake, both equally real. The mountain makes us from memories and desires and lost chances. We're all just echoes. Echoes that learn to believe they're people." Ruby was crying again, silent tears running down her face. "How do we fix this?" Garrett asked. "How do we make it stop?" "You don't," my voice said from the shed. "You wait until the mountain decides. You wait until someone fades completely. Then the rest of you get to stay a little longer, believing you're real, until it's your turn to fade too." Caleb had been quiet, but now he spoke. "There's another way. The rules don't say it, but I've figured it out. Someone can volunteer. Someone can choose to become the sacrifice, to go into the empty chair. We all turned to look at him. "What happens if someone sits in that chair?" I asked. "They become the mountain's anchor," Caleb said. "They become the thing that keeps the rest of us real. But they stop being themselves. They become part of the cabin, part of the mountain, part of the fog. They sit at that table forever, watching each new group arrive, watching them discover the rules, watching them fade or stay or volunteer." "How do you know this?" Dale asked. Caleb smiled sadly. "Because I can see them. All of them. Everyone who's ever sat in that chair. They're all still there, stacked in the same space, watching us with dead eyes." Ruby made a choked sound. "That's who was in the mirror." Caleb continued. "Thomas Prather. He sat in the chair 5 years ago so his hiking group could leave. But he's still here, still watching, still anchoring, and there are dozens more beneath him, going back decades, maybe longer." Thunder rumbled overhead, though there had been no clouds when we arrived. From the woodshed, my voice spoke one more time. 4 hours until sunset. 4 hours until you check the photos and see who's really in them. Someone's going to fade before then. I can feel it. The mountain is deciding right now. I looked at my hands. They were barely visible now, just ghostly outlines. "It's choosing me," I said. "I'm the one who's going to fade." Wayne grabbed my shoulder. His hand passed through it partially, like grabbing smoke. "Then we volunteer someone else. We make the choice before the mountain does." "Volunteer who?" Dale asked. We all looked at each other. 6 people. 6 friends who may or may not be real. 6 sets of memories that might be nothing more than the mountain's lonely imagination. The empty chair waited inside. Caleb walked back toward the cabin without another word. We followed, leaving the woodshed behind, leaving my voice behind, leaving the question unanswered. Inside, The table had changed again. 7 chairs now, 1 empty, 6 occupied, but I couldn't tell which one was new. We sat at the table for a long time, not speaking. The empty chair at the head seemed to hum with presence, not a sound, but a feeling, like standing near high-voltage power lines. Dale finally broke the silence. We need a plan. Sitting here waiting to disappear isn't an option. What plan? Garrett asked. Drive down a road that loops back, run into fog that never ends? We're trapped. No, Ruby said, wiping her face. There has to be something we're missing. Some detail in the rules, some loophole. Wayne stood and retrieved both rule sheets from where they'd been scattered on the coffee table. He laid them out side by side, reading carefully. Rule 6, he said. On your final morning, count everyone one last time before you leave. If the number is correct, you may go. If not, someone must stay behind. What's the correct number? I asked. My voice sounded distant, even to my own ears. Maybe it's 4, Dale said. That's how many we started with. If we can get back to 4, maybe the mountain lets us go. Caleb shook his head. It's not that simple. The correct number is whatever the mountain decides it is. It changes. I've watched it happen before. Before? Ruby leaned forward. You said you've been here 3 days or 3 years. Have you seen other groups come through? I see them in the mirror, Caleb said. When I look in the bathroom mirror, sometimes I don't see this cabin. I see different times, different versions, groups of college kids, families, couples, all of them trying to figure out the rules, all of them making the same discoveries we are. What happens to them? Garrett asked. Some leave. Most don't. The ones who leave? Caleb paused, his eyes going distant. They leave wrong. Changed. I saw a family pack up and drive away, and when I checked the mirror an hour later, I saw them again. Same family, same cabin, same day. Like time had looped back. But they didn't remember the first time. They thought it was their first day. The temperature in the cabin dropped. I wrapped my arms around myself but couldn't feel my own touch. My body was becoming suggestion rather than substance. There's something else, Wayne said, still reading the rules. The supplementary guidelines mention truth. Mirrors show truth. Photos at sunset show truth. What if there's a way to see the real truth, to understand what this place actually wants? It wants company, Caleb said. I told you. It's lonely. But why? Ruby pressed. Mountains don't get lonely. Mountains don't need people. This one does, Caleb said. Something happened here. Something that made it aware, made it hungry for what it can never be. Alive the way we are, capable of ending, capable of dying. Thunder rolled again, closer this time. The windows rattled. It's listening, Caleb whispered. Stop talking about it. But Dale wasn't done. If it wants to be alive, then maybe we can bargain. Trade something. Give it what it wants in exchange for letting us go. The lights flickered. Once, twice. Then the voice came. Not from any direction, but from everywhere at once. From the walls, the floor, the air itself. Old and vast and patient. Count. We looked at each other. Nobody wanted to be the one to say it. 1, Wayne finally said, pointing at himself. 2, he pointed at Dale. 3, 4, 5, 6, he pointed at each of us in turn, ending with me. 7, the voice said. We counted again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the voice insisted. There are only 6 of us, Ruby said, her voice shaking. The empty chair's cushion compressed. Something sat down. We could all see it now. Not clearly, but enough. A shape made of shadow and fog and memory. It had the suggestion of a human form, but wrong proportions. Limbs too long. Head tilted at an angle that hurt to look at directly. It spoke with the mountain's voice. 7 are here. 1 is fading. 1 is trapped. 1 is borrowed. 1 is stolen. 1 is volunteered. 1 is forgotten. 1 is real. Which one is real? I asked. The shape turned its head toward me. Where eyes should be, there was only darkness deeper than the fog outside. Guess, it said. Then it vanished. The chair was empty again. Garrett stood up fast enough to knock his own chair backward. I can't do this. I can't sit here playing games with some mountain ghost. We're leaving, right now, all of us. We'll drive until we run out of gas if we have to. We tried that, Caleb said. It doesn't work. You tried it alone, Garrett shot back. What if we all go together? What if we refuse to play its game? Dale was nodding. He's right. We've been reactive this whole time, following rules, accepting what we're told. What if we just break everything, all at once? Wayne looked uncertain. The consequences are that we fade away or sit in that chair forever, Dale said. I'd rather go down fighting. Ruby pulled out her phone. It's 3:47. A little over an hour until sunset. Until we have to check the photos. What if... She paused. What if we check them now? See what happens if we break Rule 4. That's insane, Wayne said. All of this is insane, Ruby countered. She was already scrolling through her photo gallery. I'm checking. Don't, Caleb said, but he made no move to stop her. Ruby pulled up a recent photo, the one from yesterday, the 5 of us arriving at the cabin. Her finger hovered over it. She tapped it. The photo opened. Wayne was in it, standing next to her. She swiped to the next one. Wayne was there too. And the next. Wayne in every picture, smiling his ordinary smile. Nothing's happening, she said. Then her phone screen went black. Not off black, like someone had painted the screen with pitch. Text appeared, white letters on the black screen. You weren't supposed to look yet. The lights in the cabin went out. In the sudden darkness, I heard breathing. Not from any of us, from something else. Something that had been waiting. Get to the car, Dale said. Now. We stumbled toward the front door, colliding with furniture, with each other. I couldn't feel my legs anymore. I was moving on instinct alone. Wayne reached the door first and yanked it open. The fog outside had turned red, not the red of sunset. That was still an hour away. The red of old blood, of rust, of things that shouldn't be red. And standing in the fog, maybe 20 feet from the cabin, was a figure. It was me, or it looked like me. Same height, same build, same face. But its eyes were holes, empty spaces where eyes should be. And it was smiling too wide, the corners of its mouth extending past where human mouths should end. Hello, it said with my voice. I've been waiting to meet you. Behind it, more figures emerged from the red fog. Duplicates of all of us. Wayne, Dale, Ruby, Garrett, even Caleb. Each one wrong in small, terrible ways. Too many fingers, eyes that didn't blink, mouths that moved but didn't sync with their words. The mountain made us, my duplicate said. Made us from the pieces you left behind. The bad dreams, the anxieties, the versions of yourselves you're afraid of becoming. We're what happens when you fade, when you give up being real. We get to take your place. Garrett slammed the door shut. Back door, try the back quote. We rammed through the cabin. My duplicate's laughter followed us, seeping through the walls. At the back door, Dale threw it open. More duplicates waited there. An army of wrong reflections standing in the red fog, all wearing our faces. "The woodshed," I said. My voice said something about the mountain hasn't decided yet. Maybe that's where we need to go. "You can't go in the woodshed," Caleb said. "That's where the real versions are kept. The originals. If you go in before the mountain decides, you'll both collapse into nothing." "Then maybe that's the answer," I said. I looked at my hands, barely there now, just ghost impressions. Maybe becoming nothing is how we escape. The duplicates were at the windows now, pressing their faces against the glass. Their features stretched and warped as they pushed through. "The empty chair," Ruby said suddenly. "Someone has to sit in it." "That's the only way to reset everything. To make the mountain choose." "Choose what?" Wayne asked. "Choose who stays and who goes. Who's real and who's not." Ruby's voice was steady now, resigned. "Someone has to anchor the rest. Someone has to volunteer." "I'll do it," Caleb said immediately. "I'm already dead anyway. I died 3 years ago on that mountain. This is just borrowed time." "No," Ruby said. "If you're my brother, I'm not losing you again." "You already lost me," Caleb said gently. "You're just remembering it now." The front windows shattered. The duplicates started climbing through. We had seconds to decide. "I'll do it," I said. "I'm already fading. I'm already almost nothing." "You don't know that," Dale said. "You could be the real one." "Or I could be the trap," I said. "Either way, this ends now." I walked toward the breakfast table, toward the empty chair at the head, toward the space that thrummed with ancient hunger and loneliness. The duplicates froze. All of them. Their heads turned in perfect synchronization to watch me. I put my hands on the back of the chair. Even through my fading fingers I felt it, cold beyond cold, old beyond old, hungry beyond hungry. "If I do this," I said to the mountain, "you let the others go. You let them be real. You give them back their lives." The mountain's voice filled the cabin again. "Agreed." "No," Ruby screamed. "Jamie, don't." But I was already sitting down. The world exploded into sensation. Thousands of lifetimes poured into me at once. I felt every person who'd ever sat in this chair. Thomas Prather, names I'd never known. Hikers and travelers and lost souls, going back decades, centuries. All of them still here, still aware, stacked in the same space. And I felt the mountain's vast consciousness wrapping around me, like roots growing through soil. I became anchor. I became witness. I became the thing that kept the others real. Through new eyes, eyes that saw past and present and future all at once, I watched my body fade completely. Watched my friends stumble backward. Watched the duplicates dissolve into red fog. And I watched the sunrise 3 years ago, when Ruby fell from that cliff face. Watched Caleb try to save her. Watched them both disappear into the ravine. Watched Wayne's last moments on the Appalachian Trail before the storm took him. Watched Dale's car accident on Highway 321. Watched Garrett's heart give out during the night hike. The mountain had collected us all, made us real again, given us one more chance to exist, to remember, to matter. And now I was the one keeping that gift alive. From my chair, I watched them scramble backward. Their faces twisted with horror and confusion and grief. Ruby's mouth formed my name. but I heard it from a distance, like she was shouting from the bottom of a well. The duplicates were gone. The red fog outside shifted back to gray. The shattered windows sealed themselves, glass fragments rising from the floor and fitting back into place like a film played in reverse. The cabin was resetting. "Jamie?" Wayne's voice reached me, thin and uncertain. "Can you hear us?" I could, but I couldn't answer the way I used to. My throat was still there. I could feel it, but my voice belonged to the mountain now. When I spoke, it came out layered, multiple tones speaking in harmony. "I hear you." They flinched at the sound. Dale stepped forward cautiously. "What's happening to you?" I looked at my hands. They were solid again, but not the same. My skin had taken on a gray cast, like stone weathered by centuries. My fingernails looked more like small pebbles. When I blinked, I saw not just the cabin, but every version of the cabin that had ever existed. Wood rotting and being replaced. Paint peeling and being reapplied. Seasons cycling through at speed. "I'm becoming part of it," I said, "part of the mountain. I can see everything now. Every person who came before. Every choice that led them here." "Can you see us?" Ruby asked, her voice breaking. "Can you see what we were?" I nodded. The gesture felt strange, my neck moving in ways that shouldn't be possible. "You were hiking Roan Mountain 3 years ago," I said, looking at Ruby. "July 15th. You and Caleb. The trail was wet from recent rain. You slipped on a rock face near the summit. Caleb grabbed for you, but you both went over. They found your bodies 2 days later in the ravine. The newspaper called it a tragic accident. Your parents buried you together in Boone Cemetery." Ruby's knees buckled. Garrett caught her before she hit the floor. "Wayne," I continued, turning my gaze to him, "October 2022. You were section hiking the Appalachian Trail, trying to complete the whole thing over several trips. You got caught in an early snowstorm near the Nantahala Outdoor Center. Hypothermia set in fast. You tried to make it back to the shelter, but you got turned around in the whiteout. They found your body 3 weeks later, half a mile from safety." Wayne sat down heavily, his face blank. "Dale, New Year's Eve last year. You were driving home from a party in Lenoir on Highway 321. Black ice on Wilson Ridge. Your car went through the guardrail and dropped 80 feet into the gorge. The impact killed you instantly. Your funeral was January 7th. Dale's hands covered his face. "Garrett, you were hiking Grandfather Mountain 6 months ago, the summit trail. Your heart stopped, just gave out without warning. A family found you sitting on a boulder, looking out at the view. They thought you were resting. It took them 10 minutes to realize you weren't breathing." Garrett stared at me, tears streaming silently. "And Caleb," I said, looking at Ruby's brother. "You died the same moment Ruby did. You held onto her hand the whole way down. Even after you hit the rocks, your fingers were still locked with hers. The rescue team had to separate you." The cabin was silent, except for the sound of Ruby sobbing. "So we're all dead," Wayne finally said. "We've been dead this whole time." "Not exactly," I said. The words came easier now, the mountain's knowledge flowing through me. "The mountain doesn't raise the dead. It catches echoes. When someone dies in these mountains, really dies, with strong emotion, with unfinished business, they leave an impression, a possibility. The mountain collects those possibilities and makes them real again. For a while." "For how long?" Dale asked through his hands. "Until you fade completely. Until the memory of who you were dissolves. Or until someone new sits in this chair and holds you here." "So you're keeping us alive?" Garrett said. I'm keeping you real, I corrected. There's a difference. Caleb had been quiet, but now he spoke. I've been here longer than any of them. 3 years, I said, but I was lying. It's been longer. Much longer. I can feel it now. The mountain pulled me back so many times, put me in so many groups, let me fade and reformed me again. I'm not even Caleb anymore. I'm just the shape of him. Why? Ruby looked at her brother. Why would it keep doing that? Because it worked, I said, the mountain's thoughts becoming my own. You keep trying to save him. Every group that comes through, someone sacrifices themselves to keep the others real, to give them more time. The mountain feeds on that, on the love, the sacrifice, the desperate hope that if you just follow the rules, everyone can survive. That's evil, Dale said. It's lonely, I replied. It doesn't understand what it's doing is cruel. It just knows that when people are here, it feels less empty, less like nothing. It wants to matter to someone. Wayne stood up and walked to the table. He placed his hands flat on the surface and looked directly at me. How do we break the cycle? How do we actually leave? I felt the answer form, pulled from the depths of the mountain's consciousness. Someone has to remember. Someone has to hold on to the truth of what happened, really hold it, accept it completely, and carry it back to the real world. But the mountain will fight you. It will try to make you forget. It will offer you new memories, better lives, chances to undo your deaths. Who has to remember? Ruby asked. All of you, I said. Together. If even one of you forgets, if even one of you accepts the false memories and decides to stay, the cycle continues. And if we all remember, Garrett pressed. Then you wake up. The word hung in the air. Wake up where? Dale asked. I saw it then, through the mountain's eyes. Hospital rooms, morgues, funeral homes, bodies lying in various states of preservation or decay, depending on how long each person had been gone. Your real bodies, I said. The mountain has been keeping them in a kind of stasis. Not alive, but not gone either. Suspended between. If you can hold on to the truth long enough, you can return to them. But you'll have to fight through everything the mountain throws at you to make you stay. What about you? Ruby asked. If we leave, what happens to you? I felt the answer settle into my bones, becoming part of my new reality. I stay. That's the deal I made. I anchor you long enough to get out, and then I become permanent. I join all the others in this chair, watching, waiting, keeping the next group real when they arrive. No, Ruby said firmly. We're not leaving you behind. You don't have a choice, I said. The mountain's voice was stronger now, pushing through my words. The terms are set. One must remain. One must watch. One must remember forever. Wayne looked at the others. If Jamie's giving us this chance, we can't waste it. We have to try. How do we start? Garrett asked. Say it out loud, I told them. Say what happened to you. Accept it. Make it real in your own voice. Ruby went first, her voice shaking but determined. My name is Ruby Morrison. I died on Roan Mountain 3 years ago. I fell from a cliff trying to save my brother. My body is in Boone Cemetery. Wayne followed. My name is Wayne Sullivan. I died of hypothermia on the Appalachian Trail in October 2022. My body was found near the Naktahawa Outdoor Center. Dale took a breath. My name is Dale Hutchins. I died in a car accident on Highway 321 on New Year's Eve. My body is... He choked on the words. My body was cremated. My ashes were scattered at Linville Falls. Garrett finished. My name is Garrett Boone. I died of sudden cardiac arrest on Grandfather Mountain 6 months ago. My body was buried in blowing rock. The cabin shuddered. The lights flickered wildly. Outside, the fog began to pulse with that red color again. It's fighting back, I said. Keep going. Remember everything. Every detail of your deaths. Don't let it seduce you with false memories. Caleb stood. My name is Caleb Morrison. I died on Roan Mountain 3 years ago trying to save my sister. But I've been here longer than that. I've been here for... He paused, his face contorting with effort. I've been here for 19 years. I was the first one the mountain took, the first echo it learned to hold. I need to let go. I need to fade. Caleb, no. Ruby reached for him. But Caleb was already becoming transparent, just as I had before sitting in the chair. This is how it ends for me. I've held on too long. I've kept too many people trapped trying to save me. Let me go, Ruby. Let me finally rest. I can't, she sobbed. You have to, Caleb said. His smile was genuine now, peaceful. Tell Mom and Dad I'm sorry. Tell them I loved them. Tell them. He faded completely, just gone, like he'd never been there at all. Ruby screamed, a sound of pure grief that made the cabin walls crack. The mountain roared in response and the floor began to tilt. The floor wasn't tilting. The cabin was sinking. I felt it through my connection to the mountain, felt the structure trying to pull itself deeper into the earth, trying to bury them here forever. Get out, I said, my voice booming with power I didn't want. Now, while you still can. But the doors had sealed themselves. No handles, no hinges, just smooth wood where exits used to be. Wayne threw his shoulder against what had been the front door. The impact made no sound. It was like hitting solid stone. The windows, Garrett said, running to one. But the glass had become something else. Not transparent anymore, just blank gray surfaces that absorbed his punches without cracking. It won't let us leave, Dale said. It's keeping us. No, I said, pulling against the chair. But I couldn't stand. My body had merged with the wood, roots growing from my legs into the floor. I made a deal. It has to honor it. The mountain's laughter echoed through the cabin. Not cruel, almost playful. Like a child refusing to let go of a favorite toy. The deal was they remember, the mountain's voice said through my mouth. But one of them has already forgotten. I looked at the 4 remaining people. Ruby, Wayne, Dale, Garrett. All of them staring back at me with expressions I couldn't quite read. Who? I asked. Ruby stepped forward. Jamie, you need to let us out. We'll figure it out from the other side. But something in her voice was wrong. Too calm. Too accepting. Ruby, I said carefully, tell me again how you died. I fell from Rome Mountain, she said. But her eyes had gone distant. No, that was a nightmare I had. I've been having these nightmares lately, about falling. But I'm fine. I'm here with my friends on a weekend trip. We're having fun, right? No, I said desperately. Ruby, listen to me. That wasn't a nightmare. That was real. You died. You and Caleb both died. Caleb's been gone a long time, Ruby said, smiling now. A dreamy, peaceful smile that terrified me. He moved to California years ago. We don't talk much anymore, but that's okay. I have you guys. The mountain had her. It had rewritten her memories while I watched, slipping in false histories so smoothly she couldn't tell the difference. Wayne, Dale, Garrett, I said urgently. You have to remember. All of you. Say it again. Say how you died. Wayne opened his mouth, closed it. There was snow. I remember snow. But I'm not sure. Was I hiking? Or was I just cold one day? Memory gets fuzzy sometimes. You froze to death on the Appalachian Trail, I said. October 2022. Hypothermia. They found you 3 weeks later. Wayne's face scrunched up, like he was trying to grab onto something slipping away. That sounds right. But also, I remember graduating last spring. From App State. I remember my apartment in Boone. I remember... He grabbed his head. Which one is real? The death is real. I insisted. The apartment is what the mountain gave you. It's fake. It's bait. Dale had started crying again. I don't want to be dead. I want to go home. I want to see my mom. Your mom buried you, I said, hating myself for the words. January 7th. Your whole family was there. No, Dale said. No, I just talked to her last week. She called to remind me to bring my allergy medicine on this trip. She worries about my tree pollen allergies. The mountain was winning. I could feel it pulling them deeper into false comfort, offering them versions of themselves that hadn't died, hadn't ended, could keep living. Only Garrett still looked lucid. He stood apart from the others, hands clenched into fists, eyes squeezed shut. Garrett, I said, you're the only one still fighting. You have to anchor them. I'm trying, he said through gritted teeth, but it's so tempting. I can feel it offering me things, a second chance, a life where my heart doesn't give out, where I get to grow old, get married, have kids. Everything I never got to do. It's lying, I said. That's not a second chance. That's a cage made of wishes. I know, Garrett said. But God, Jamie, I want it anyway. The cabin lurched again, and I realized what was happening. The mountain was preparing to reset completely, to wipe everyone's memory and start the cycle over. Ruby would forget she had a brother named Caleb. Wayne would forget he ever died. Dale would remember a mother who was probably still grieving him, and Garrett would accept the beautiful lie being offered. Unless I did something. I looked down at myself, at the roots growing through my legs, the stone spreading across my skin, the chair that had become part of my body. I was the anchor. I was the thing holding this reality together. But what if I let go? Jamie, don't, a voice said. Thomas Prather's voice, coming from somewhere deep in the chair. From the other anchors snapped beneath me. If you let go, you'll collapse into nothing. You'll cease to exist completely, not even an echo. But they'll wake up, I said, right? If there's no anchor, the mountain can't hold them. Maybe, Thomas said. Or maybe you all fade together. There's no way to know. I looked at Ruby, who was humming now. Some song she probably thought she remembered from childhood. At Wayne, whose memories were becoming a blur. At Dale, who'd started setting the table for a dinner we'd never eat. At Garrett, who was still fighting but losing ground with every second. I'm sorry, I said to Thomas, to all the others trapped in this chair. I'm sorry for what I'm about to do. Then I pulled, not with my body, that was gone, merged with wood and stone. I pulled with whatever was left of my will, myself, the core of who Jamie had been before the mountain took me. The roots tore. It felt like ripping my own bones out. The cabin screamed, a sound that was part wind, part cracking timber, part something older and more primal. I kept pulling. The chair splintered beneath me. I felt Thomas Prather's presence dissolve, released after years of holding on. Felt the others go with him. Decades of trapped souls finally let go. And I felt myself starting to unravel. The cabin began to collapse. Not physically, the walls stayed standing, but the reality of it was breaking down. The furniture became translucent. The ceiling showed stars that shouldn't be visible. The floor turned to mist. "Run!" I managed to say, my voice fracturing. "Garrett, grab them and run. Don't look back. Don't stop. Remember what killed you. Remember all the way home." Garrett's eyes snapped open. He grabbed Ruby's hand, then Wayne's. "Dale, move. Now." Dale stumbled forward, and Garrett caught him too. The doors reappeared, unlocked, swinging open to reveal not fog, but darkness. Pure, empty darkness. "That's the way out," I said, feeling myself scatter like leaves in wind. "Through the nothing, back to your bodies. But you have to remember, all four of you, if even one forgets, you'll all be trapped in that darkness forever." "What about you?" Garrett asked. "I'm already gone," I said. And it was true. I could see through my own hands now, see through my chest to the broken chair behind me. This is my end. But it doesn't have to be yours. Ruby suddenly focused, her eyes clearing. "Jamie? What's happening?" "You're remembering," I said, relief flooding through me. "Hold on to it. Don't let go." Wayne blinked, swayed. The snow. The cold. I remember. I died in the snow. "Yes," I said. "Hold that, all of you." Dale was crying, but he nodded. The ice. The crash, I remember. "Good," I said. "Now run." Garrett pulled them toward the door, toward the darkness. "Thank you," he said, looking back at me one last time. "Thank you for the sacrifice." "Just wake up," I told him. "That's all the thanks I need. Wake up and live." They stepped into the darkness. The cabin collapsed fully then, folding in on itself like paper being crumpled. The mountain's presence receded, confused, angry, but ultimately unable to hold on without an anchor. I felt myself dissolving completely. No pain, no fear. Just a sense of finally letting go. My last thought wasn't of the cabin or the mountain or the rules. It was of the four of them, somewhere in the darkness, holding on to each other and their terrible truths, fighting their way back to bodies they'd left behind, and hoping, knowing, that they would make it. Then I was nothing. Nothing at all. Just the memory of someone who had briefly been real enough to matter. The first thing I heard was beeping. Steady, rhythmic. A heart monitor. The first thing I felt was pain. Not the dissolving, scattering pain of becoming nothing, but real, physical pain. My chest hurt, my throat hurt. Everything hurt in a way that meant I had a body again. I opened my eyes. Hospital room. White ceiling. Fluorescent lights that made my head pound. A nurse noticed me immediately and called for a doctor. "Jamie Chim, can you hear me?" the doctor asked, shining a light in my eyes. "You've been in a coma for 6 days. You were found at the bottom of a ravine near the Blue Ridge Parkway. A ranger spotted your car on a routine patrol. 6 days? Not years. Not a maternity in a cabin, but 8 people. The others," I managed to croak out. "Ruby, Wayne, Dale, Garrett." The doctor exchanged a glance with the nurse. "There was no one else in your car. You were traveling alone according to the rental agreement." My heart sank. They hadn't made it. They were still trapped, or they'd faded, But, the doctor continued, there's been something strange happening. 4 other people woke up in hospitals across North Carolina over the past 3 days. All of them had been declared dead. Some for years. Bodies in morgues, cremated remains, buried coffins. Except now they're alive. The medical community is calling it a miracle. The media is going crazy. Hope flickered. Their names? Ruby Morrison, Wayne Sullivan, Dale Hutchins, and Garrett Boone. I started crying, relief so overwhelming I couldn't breathe. The doctor stepped back, concerned. Should I? They're okay, I sobbed. They remembered. They made it back. After they stabilized me, after the tests and questions and confused authorities, they let me have visitors. Ruby came first, looking thin but alive, real, breathing. She hugged me and didn't let go for a long time. You did it, she whispered. You broke the cycle. When we woke up, we remembered everything. We told the rangers about the cabin. They found it, or what was left of it, just a collapsed foundation. But they also found something else. She pulled out her phone and showed me a news article. Remains found in Appalachian woods after miraculous recoveries. The rangers had discovered dozens of bodies in the area surrounding where the cabin had been. Missing hikers going back decades. Thomas Prather. Names I recognized from the missing person flyers. Names I'd felt dissolve when I broke the chair. They're finally getting proper burials, Ruby said. Their families finally have closure. You gave them that. The 4 of us recovered together over the following weeks. Physical therapy, psychiatric evaluations that we navigated carefully, leaving out the parts about mountain consciousness and sacrificial chairs. Our story became, we'd all been in the same accident, all found in the ravine together. Medical miracle. Grateful to be alive. Eventually, they released us. Wayne organized a reunion dinner at a restaurant in Boone. Neutral ground, nowhere near the mountains. Just the 4 of us, he said. A celebration of survival. I arrived early, still walking with a slight limp from my injuries. But when I got to the table, there were 6 people waiting. Ruby, Wayne, Dale, and Garrett. I recognized them immediately. But there were 2 others. A man and a woman I'd never seen before. Jamie! Ruby stood up, smiling. You remember Marcus and Sarah, right? From our study abroad program? I didn't. I've never studied abroad. Marcus extended his hand. Good to see you again, man. Feels like forever since Barcelona. I shook his hand automatically, my mouth dry. Yeah, Barcelona. Sarah was already pulling out a chair for me. Not any chair, but the one at the head of the table. Here, birthday person sits at the head. Those are the rules. It's not my birthday, I said. Sure it is, Garrett said, looking at his phone. October 11th. That's today. We even got you a cake. October 11th was my birthday, but they shouldn't know that. We'd never discussed birthdays in the cabin. I looked at the chair Sarah was offering, at the place sitting in front of it, at the way everyone was staring at me with expectant smiles. Behind them, in the corner of the restaurant, I noticed an 8th chair. Empty. No place setting. Just waiting. Come on, Jamie, Wayne said. Sit down. We've been waiting for you. Their eyes were too bright, their smiles too wide, and in the reflection of the window behind them, I saw not 6 people, but something else. Something vast and patient, wearing their faces like masks. The mountain had found a new way to collect,